She had never seen a gun up close until the morning the Wheaton bandit stood in her lobby. "I could not look at this man," she said. "I just prayed he wouldn't get so nervous that he would shoot us. He told us he used to work in a bank. He knew about the die packs. He knew the systems. He robbed 16 banks over 5 years. He hit the same bank 3 times, as if daring the police to stop him. He used a police scanner to stay 1 step ahead of the sirens. He left shoe prints in the snow that led to a one-way street, indicating he worked alone. Detective Steve Hamill and FBI agents Tina Forkas and Eric Cayley were obsessed. They studied the surveillance tapes like they were religious texts. They saw the way he moved, the confidence, the lack of hesitation. "If he is law enforcement," Agent Cayley mused, "how much of what we know does he already know? He's not just a robber. He's a student of the system." Chapter 8: The White Coat Crime. In the medical district of Chicago, the air usually smelled of disinfectant and hope. But inside the private practice of Dr. Jorge Martinez, it smelled of stagnant greed. Martinez was a pillar of the community, a man who drove Ferraris and wore Patek Philippe watches. He was a pain management specialist, a man who promised relief to the suffering. But while he offered comfort with one hand, he was bleeding the insurance system dry with the other. His scheme was a surgical strike. He would see patients for minor consultations, back strain, or joint pain, and then bill Medicare for complex surgeries that were never performed. He billed for phantom surgeries, sometimes on days when the patients weren't even in the country. "The numbers don't add up," Jorge, his office manager, Joyce Brandon, said one afternoon. She was looking at a ledger that showed 3 spinal injections performed simultaneously on patients in different wings of the hospital. "It's the paperwork, Joyce," Martinez said, his voice cold. "The billing codes are complex. Just process it." But Joyce Brandon was honest. She began to notice more than just complex codes. She noticed the millions of dollars pouring into Martinez's personal accounts. She noticed the way he panicked when a routine audit was announced. The tension in the office became a physical weight. Martinez, once the charming healer, became a man of sharp edges and sudden silences. He wasn't just billing for surgeries anymore. He was billing for his survival. His lifestyle, the mansion, the jets, was a beast that had to be fed. When Joyce Brandon decided to talk to the authorities, she didn't realize she was dealing with a predator. The feds caught on to the million-dollar scheme, but Martinez had gone beyond financial fraud. Joyce Brandon was killed. The motive was singular. In the cold, analytical world of Dr. Martinez, Joyce was no longer an employee. She was a liability. The white coat had been traded for a shroud of blood. The paper shadows had finally claimed a life. Chapter 9: The Fine Arts Express. While the doctor was cashing in on phantom pain, another group of professionals was eyeing a different kind of treasure. The heist at Fine Arts Express was a masterpiece of social engineering. It wasn't a smash and grab. There were no masks, no alarms, no shouting. The team arrived in a climate-controlled van, wearing the crisp uniforms of high-end art movers. They had the paperwork, the bill of lading, the insurance certifications, the signatures of gallery directors. It was all forged, but it was perfect. Schreckingist would have been proud of the kerning. They walked into the warehouse with the casual authority of people who belonged there. They didn't steal televisions or jewelry. They went for the canvases. Works of art that had survived centuries were lifted with practiced ease. They moved like a well-oiled machine. One man checked the manifest, two others secured the crates. Within 40 minutes, millions of dollars in cultural heritage had been loaded into a van that vanished into the Chicago traffic. The identities they used were the identities of a legitimate transport company. By the time the Real Fine Arts Express arrived to pick up the shipment, the thieves were already halfway across the state. Their loot destined for the black market of the gray market billionaires who didn't care about provenance, only possession. Chapter 10, The Vanishing Point. Back in Wheaton, the hunt for the blue-eyed bandit was reaching a fever pitch. In late 2006, the Wheaton bandit did something he had never done before. He grew reckless. He hit 3 banks in 8 days. It was a blitz, a swan song that suggested either a desperate need for cash or a complete loss of control. On November 29th, at a Fifth Third Bank, a man sitting in his car saw someone he thought was his brother. He approached the figure, only to realize his mistake. The stranger, a man with striking blue eyes, stared back with a look of pure, cold alarm. "Sorry," the man waved, confused. The stranger didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away, his tactical hood already partially pulled over his face. It was the first real look anyone had ever gotten. The sketch that followed was haunting. It showed a man who looked ordinary, a man you'd pass in a grocery store, a man who might be your neighbor or your local police officer. The sketch hit the news on December 11th, and then the Wheaton bandit simply stopped. The bushes remained empty. The banks remained secure. The tactical hood was tucked away, perhaps buried in a basement or burned in a backyard. The $150,000 he had amassed over 5 years was a ghost fund, and the man with the blue eyes became an urban legend. Chapter 11, The Reckoning of the Fallen. For Tammy Carroll, the recovery was a slow, agonizing crawl out of a grave she had dug for herself. She spent 3 years in drug treatment, her days filled with the ghosts of the children she had lost. "I am using my past as a way to help others," she told her sobriety group, her voice finally finding its strength, instead of it just being all wasted time. She eventually reclaimed her 3 oldest children. The house now smelled of laundry and home-cooked meals again, but the scars remained. Virginia Dissette's journey was harder in a different way. The charges were dropped, but the arrest record remained. When the charges are dropped, it's for lack of evidence, she said bitterly. It's not because you were innocent. It's because they can't prove you did it. She spent years trying to scrub her name, trying to reclaim the life